Welcome back to this already, the final segment of The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. My good friend, Julie Cripe, one of my favorite bankers out there. She's with Omni Bank and omnibank.com and comes on not often enough. You always got great things to tell us and insights to share, and we always love it when you come on. How are you, Julie?
I'm great.
Good. Real quickly before we talk about what's up in the banking environment today, because you're kind of our monitor of that. You're keeping us well informed when it comes to that. Why don't you kind of give us a little bit of information about Omni Bank?
Well, Omni Bank has been around since 1954. We specialize in business loans and consumer loans in our own community. We are primarily in Houston based and Houston owners, and we can make decisions right here. We have a pretty flat organization because we are a small community bank.
Yeah, one of the things that's super cool about it is that, when you're talking to someone about a loan, they're at the most, 2 levels below the CEO of the company.
Right.
That's really refreshing compared to dealing with a bureaucracy that calls itself a bank.
I hope that most business owners feel that way, and I think based on having some of my customers for over 30 years, that is how they feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we almost had you on last week, but you ended up traveling. Was that pleasure, or was that something to do with what's happening in the banking industry?
Well, some of it was what was going on in the banking industry. There's a movement right now with trying to actually help community banks, because I think congressmen and women are starting to feel that the regulatory pressure is unduly put upon the community banks and the costs associated therewith, and that we don't need necessarily all of the same bells and whistles that the major banks that are doing things we don't do have.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need some of the same elaborate regulations, but it all trickles down. So there is some move afoot to try to help out community banks.
Let me ask you a question, and you and I have talked a little bit about this before. You and I both know that a lot of regulations that come out of Washington, D.C., ironically, are the result of lobbying efforts by bigger companies to essentially try to hurt smaller businesses. And we could go on and on about various examples. In early 1990s, the way they required the upgrading of gasoline pumps wiped out the mom-and-pop gasoline station. You virtually never see them anymore because it became too prohibitive in the way they wanted them to upgrade it, that type of thing. Was there some of that in play by mega banks involved in trying to get regulations done in the banking bill of Dodd-Frank?
No, actually, I can't really blame it on them from that perspective. I think that what happened in the industry and some of it wasn't banks at all. It was non-bank lenders doing a lot of these crazy mortgages. But then to try to rein all that in, there's always an overreaction. So now you will see, and then a creation of a new agency, the CFPB, trying to protect consumers, has actually made it harder for a lot of people to get home loans, even though banks would like to make those loans. So I can't blame that on their lobbying efforts. I can only say that what happened in 2008 really created Congress to, let's take this opportunity and throw everything into it. And so all these securities regulations, everything that goes along with Dodd-Frank and is really impacting smaller banks more, unintended consequences, which we hear all the time. And frankly, I'm sick of hearing about it, because that's what they need to think about before they pass some of these rules and then pass it on to regulators to write the rules.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. What about this, the whole, there's been a lot of rumor that eventually the way fees will be done for overdraft will make it almost prohibitive for banks to even give checking accounts to certain income bracket individuals, and credit checks going to play a huge role whether or not they get a bank account. Talk a little about that.
That's already in play. The CFPB has decided that overdraft checking will be one of their major thrusts. They want to be sure that you're being examined under your different regulators for doing anything that might mislead someone. All surveys show that people want to have that option so that if they do run a little short at the end of the month, they can still make their mortgage payment or some of those other items that are critical, a school fee or something that comes up that is an extraordinary expense. And they understand that they're going to pay for it, and they understand that it's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be to the point where you cannot comply with all the different regulations of allowing people to change their mind, and you can't charge enough to really make it work, and so banks will just quit paying overdrafts, period. They won't have that overdraft protection, and then that will drive people to the shadow banking system, which are payday loans and a lot of other things that are non-bank groups.
Yeah, that's right. And so even, like you pointed out, even murkier, not even, but actually murky waters, when it comes to financing their business, financing their lives. It's incredible. These unintended consequences, I often wonder how unintended they are, because honestly, I believe some politicians are in the poverty business, and these type of regulations create poverty.
Well, they do. And it's really an unfortunate situation.
Well, listen, with about a minute left, what are you, is there good news out there on your arena? I know you have incredible stories of successful businesses that grew thanks to their relationship to Omni Bank. What would you like to part with us today with?
Well, I will just tell you that we've still got a lot of businesses doing well. We are seeing a pickup in lending requests for purchases of buildings or expanding plant and equipment. All that will be good for Houston and the whole Texas area because it means jobs are coming online. So there is good news, and we need to keep the faith, I guess, so to speak. Texans are pretty good at that.
Yes, they are. We're overcomers and sometimes overachievers, and that's what I like about this great state. Love having Julie Cripe on the show. She's a good friend, good person, a great resource to talk about what's happening on the business front in general, banking in particular. And let me tell you, these community bankers in particular are in the corner of entrepreneurs, Main Street businesses, trying to make a difference and keeping them growing and moving in the right direction. Thanks for your continued efforts. We appreciate that so much.
Well, great. I enjoy it every time, and I'll try to be there when I've got some good news. Yeah,
well, you always are. You do bring great stories and good news, and I want to encourage you to keep that up. Julie Cripe, she's with Omni Bank. If you're looking for a banker to be in your corner, I want to recommend Julie personally. That's omnibank.com. Thanks so much, Julie.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
I want to encourage everyone, by the way, to have a great rest of your day. Remember, the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com. While you're there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. Do the same for our sister news website, usdailyreview.com. You've been listening to The Price of Business. I hope you have a great day. I hope you spend it sensibly by spending time right here on this station.